Ambassador Cole, representing Earth and humanity, strode forward with a calm confidence. His companion, a golden retriever named Max, paced in step, sniffing the air curiously, entirely unfazed by the grandeur or the alien gazes fixed on him. The council seat stretched out in a vast semicircle, filled with creatures of every shape and hue, from feathered diplomats with iridescent plumage to massive beings with scales that caught the light like polished armor. They were seasoned representatives of their civilizations, yet now they wore expressions of fascination mixed with caution. The head of the council, a venerable elder of the Tevrak species known for their long, shimmering tendrils, raised one spindly appendage to silence the growing murmur. "Ambassador Cole of Earth," the elder intoned, her voice soft yet reverberating through the hall. "Welcome. But if I may ask," her tendrils waved in a subtle gesture toward Max, who was now sitting politely at Cole's side, tail wagging as he observed the gathering with keen eyes. "What is this creature you have brought among us?" Cole gave a nod and a small smile. "Thank you, Counselor Aaron. This," he said, gesturing to his companion, "is Max. He's a dog, a companion species to humans. He comes with me not as a tool or weapon, but as a friend and partner." A ripple of surprise spread through the council. To them, the concept of companion was straightforward, yet strictly reserved for beings of similar intelligence and rank. For most species present, bringing a non-sentient creature into such a prestigious gathering was unthinkable, bordering on disrespectful. A tall, metallic figure with eyes like polished lenses, Counselor Crix of the Mechara, leaned forward, emitting a low hum. "Explain, Ambassador," Crix buzzed. "Why would your species bond with a lesser creature? Is this being here to perform a task for you?" Cole shook his head, sensing both curiosity and skepticism in the question. "Dogs aren't just tools or mere animals to us. They're companions, beings we have shared our lives with for millennia. They protect us, yes, and can perform tasks, but they also offer companionship, loyalty, and trust. For humanity, Max isn't simply a creature. He's a friend." Max, as if sensing the attention, stood up, his tail waving happily. He gazed around the council hall, panting with a friendly grin that revealed his good-natured temperament. Several council members recoiled slightly. A creature with teeth bared so openly was, in many cultures, a show of threat. Yet Max's relaxed posture and wagging tail seemed to confuse the gathered counselors further. A representative of the Tali, a species resembling tall, winged insects, clicked its mandibles in agitation. "In our society, only the most trusted are permitted in the council chambers. To bring a non-sentient entity here is highly irregular." Its faceted eyes shifted, focusing on Cole. "What purpose does this Max serve?" Cole's gaze softened as he looked down at Max, who was still sitting obediently at his side. "Max serves no single purpose," he replied, voice measured. "He is a being who gives and receives affection, and through that bond, we gain strength. Our bond is forged not from necessity, but from choice. Humanity has raised dogs like Max alongside us as partners. We share our lives, our homes, our joys, and even our sorrows with them." Counselor Aaron tilted her head, her tendrils flicking in a pattern that indicated deep thought. "Fascinating. This concept of shared existence is unfamiliar. Among our own, bonds are determined by hierarchy or utility." She glanced at Max, whose eyes met hers without fear or submission. "And yet, this dog shows no distress at our presence." Cole smiled, sensing a shift in the council's stance. "That's another reason we value them so much. Dogs, like Max, trust us completely, and in return, we respect that trust. Max is here not because I need him to be, but because he chooses to be with me. To him, being at my side is reason enough." From the back of the council chamber, an ancient representative of the Holkar, a species known for their crystalline forms, raised a question in their resonant, echoing voice. "And tell us, Ambassador, what would happen if this companion were harmed in some way? Would you mourn it as you would another human. Cole's face grew solemn, and he placed a gentle hand on Max's head. Absolutely. Humans form bonds with dogs that run as deep as those we form with each other. If something were to happen to Max, I would grieve his loss deeply. Many of us would. That's the level of loyalty and love dogs inspire in us. The council hall fell silent. Even the skeptics seemed moved, albeit hesitantly, by the depth of sentiment in Cole's voice. The elder Counselor Aaron's tendrils rippled with newfound interest, and she regarded Cole with a thoughtful expression. In our history, she began slowly. Alliances are often based on shared benefit, not companionship or loyalty as you describe it. Your species' approach to relationships between different forms of life is intriguing, Ambassador Cole. Perhaps there is something to learn from it. She inclined her head toward Max for now. We will allow his presence among us, though he will be closely observed. Cole nodded grateful, as Max gave a soft bark, drawing a few startled looks from the assembled counselors. But Aaron's expression softened, a hint of a smile, alien but unmistakable, playing across her features. Very well, she said, with a note of finality. The council will proceed. Ambassador Cole of Earth, and Max the dog, you may remain. With that, the meeting resumed, the counselor's curiosity unsated yet tempered, a door opened to a potential understanding previously unimaginable. The murmur in the council chamber softened, giving way to a quiet curiosity as Ambassador Cole took a step forward, his gaze steady. By his side, Max sat alert but calm, his amber eyes scanning the room with an expression that radiated friendliness and trust. In his simple presence, Max seemed to convey something even the most sophisticated words could not, though many of the council members struggled to comprehend it. The Tevrak elder, Counselor Aaron, spoke again, her tendrils rippling with interest. Ambassador Cole, it is uncommon for our species to form bonds with beings of different intellect or life purpose. Please elaborate. How has this human-dog connection evolved? Cole nodded, understanding the depth of their curiosity. For humans, the bond with dogs like Max goes back thousands of years. Our ancestors first befriended wolves, and over time, we learned to coexist and understand one another. As our societies evolved, so did the relationship. Wolves became dogs, companions who were loyal, protective, and intuitive. A sharp, clicking voice chimed in. It was Counselor Vria the Tali, his wings fluttering in skepticism. You claim that your species willingly coexists with these creatures? Surely they must perform specific functions to justify such a relationship. Cole smiled, having anticipated this question. Dogs have done many things for us. They've guarded us, helped us hunt, and, in modern times, assisted us with various tasks. But their role in our lives isn't purely functional. Over centuries, dogs have become part of our families. We see them as companions, creatures with their own personalities, who provide us with comfort, joy, and loyalty. Max is here as my friend, not as my servant or tool. Max, as if on cue, looked up at Cole, his tail giving a small thump against the polished floor. The sight was enough to prompt a murmur from the counselors, most of whom had never seen such spontaneous affection between two different species. An imposing figure with a gleaming, segmented body, Counselor Diarakan of the Holkar, leaned forward, crystalline eyes catching the light. But does this not create a vulnerability? If this creature is so valued, its loss could cause distress. Why would you invite such a liability into your life? Cole considered the question for a moment, glancing down at Max before answering. Yes, it's true. Losing a dog can be painful, just as losing a family member is painful. But we believe that the companionship and love they give us more than makes up for that risk. It's a bond built on mutual trust and loyalty. Max would stand by me in times of danger, just as I would protect him. Counselor Aaron's tendrils quivered, a subtle signal of surprise. Your kind feels loyalty, even toward those not of your own species? Precisely, Cole replied. Dogs have an uncanny ability to understand us in ways that defy explanation. They sense our emotions and offer comfort when we're sad or anxious. They even help us in practical ways. For instance, some dogs are trained to assist those with disabilities, guiding them through the world or alerting them to dangers. They enrich our lives simply by being a part of them. The council members seemed to shift uneasily, grappling with a concept that upended many of their own societal structures. Among them, loyalty was often transactional, based on status, mutual benefit, or necessity. The idea of loyalty for loyalty's sake was unfamiliar, if not perplexing. Max's friendly gaze traveled across the chamber, and he offered a small, joyful bark. Several counselors flinched at the sound, and others glanced uneasily, interpreting the noise as an unfamiliar signal. Sensing the tension, Cole bent down and patted Max's head, speaking soothingly. "Easy, boy. They're just curious." A representative from the Mechera, whose form consisted of interconnected gears and metallic plates, spoke in a low, rhythmic tone. "You assign meaning to the actions of this creature. Sounds, gestures. Do you believe it understands you?" Cole met the counselor's gaze. "Absolutely. Dogs like Max may not understand every word, but they respond to our tones, our gestures, even our moods. Max senses when I'm happy or when I'm stressed. He's here not just because I bring him, but because he chooses to stay close." Counselor Aaron's eyes glistened with something resembling empathy, a mutual understanding between species, then forged over generations. How extraordinary! Cole felt the weight of Aaron's words. This was more than mere curiosity now. It was a tentative openness, a bridge forming across vast cultural divides. In fact, we've learned as much from dogs as they have from us. They teach us to be patient, loyal, and compassionate. They bring out the best in us, simply by sharing their lives with us. The counselors exchanged glances, their expressions complex, as if reevaluating long-held beliefs. Counselor Diarcan, who had questioned the liability of bonding with another species, now leaned back thoughtfully, his segmented body reflecting slivers of light. Finally, Counselor Aaron spoke, her voice softer. "Ambassador Cole, you have offered us a glimpse into something rare. This bond, this capacity for loyalty, for friendship across differences, is something we had not considered could exist outside of purely sentient relationships." Cole inclined his head. "For us, this bond is a testament to our shared journey with dogs like Max. They are, in their own way, teachers and friends, showing us the value of loyalty, acceptance, and love." A faint hum filled the chamber as each counselor considered these words, the profound simplicity of a human pet bond stirring something unspoken among them. Though they were each products of vastly different worlds, with rules governing relationships that diverged from humanity's, there was a quiet recognition that such a bond might hold lessons of its own. Counselor Aaron's tendrils moved in a graceful, almost reverent pattern. "Very well, Ambassador Cole. Your words have granted us insight into the human spirit. Perhaps we, too, might explore the value of companionship without expectation, without necessity." Cole gave a slight nod of respect, a glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. Max, oblivious to the profound shift he'd helped inspire, let out a soft sigh and curled up beside Cole's feet, content simply to be close to his human. As the council prepared to move on, an unspoken question lingered in the air, one that could only be answered through further encounters, deeper exchanges. The council members, having glimpsed a side of humanity they hadn't known before, were left wondering just what other mysteries and truths these humans and their strange companions might reveal. The council resumed its proceedings, though the air was palpably altered. Cole had noticed that even the more skeptical counselors now stole glances at Max, their expressions softened by a mix of curiosity and cautious respect. For his part, Max sat quietly at Cole's side, his tail occasionally sweeping the floor as he surveyed the room with his calm, inquisitive eyes. Midway through a report by Counselor Drakan, a faint, mechanical hum rose from one of the main support systems embedded in the council chamber's wall, a series of ancient, intricate circuits responsible for regulating the hall's atmospheric conditions. The hum quickly escalated into a sharp, grating whine, filling the chamber with a metallic screech. The counselors shifted, their postures tense, eyes darting toward the disturbance. Without warning, a faint haze began to rise from the malfunctioning system, followed by a harsh chemical odor. The sensors that maintained the hall's balance emitted a pulsing red light, an urgent signal of a sudden drop in breathable air quality. Around the hall, alien counselors reacted instinctively, each according to their own biology, some retracting into hardened shells, others emitting protective pheromones, and a few activating personal air filters built into their suits. Cole covered his mouth and nose, trying to suppress a cough as the acrid smell filled his lungs. Beside him, Max's nose wrinkled and he let out a low growl, sensing the growing danger. His eyes flicked toward Cole, his body tensing, ready to act. With a swift decision, Max bolted from Cole's side and sprinted toward the source of the smell. His movements were quick, purposeful. The counselors watched in astonishment as the dog approached the malfunctioning unit, his powerful nose leading him straight to the problem. Max gave a series of sharp, insistent barks, each one echoing through the chamber like an alarm. Cole realized what Max was doing. "He's trying to signal us," he called to the counselors. "He's found the source of the issue." Despite the ongoing chaos, Counselor Aaron raised a tendril to calm the council. "Let the creature work. If what the ambassador claims is true, it seems to be alerting us to the cause." In a display of his unique training, Max circled the malfunctioning panel, barking rhythmically, an ingrained response designed to draw human attention in emergencies. Cole seized a moment, striding over to the panel and inspecting the area Max had marked. Beneath the casing, a small crack had formed in one of the conduits, leaking a toxic compound into the chamber. "Counselor Crix," Cole called to the Mecra representative, who was closest to the environmental controls. "Activate the emergency ventilation override. This leak will compromise the entire chamber's air supply." Counselor Crix moved quickly, a series of clicks and mechanical shifts echoing as he manipulated the controls with his segmented limbs. With a hiss, fresh air cycled into the chamber and the chemical haze began to dissipate. The counselors collectively exhaled as the tension eased, the threat averted thanks to Max's swift intervention. As the air cleared, Max returned to Cole's side, pressing his head into Cole's leg, tail wagging as if he hadn't just saved a room full of alien diplomats. Cole knelt down, giving him a reassuring pat, murmuring, "Good boy, Max. You did great." A quiet murmur rose among the counselors, expressions of awe and amazement exchanged in low, whispered tones. Many of them were struggling to reconcile the apparent intelligence and initiative Max had just displayed. For them, it was one thing to hear about the human-dog bond, but quite another to witness it in action. Counselor Darkan, who had previously questioned the practicality of keeping such a creature close, regarded Max with newfound respect. "Ambassador Cole," he began, his voice resonant with genuine interest, "your companion's actions just now were remarkable. To detect a threat and respond with such precision. Does this creature truly understand our situation?" Cole stood, looking from Darkan to the rest of the council. Dogs like Max are trained to detect signs of distress and danger, but more than that, they sense our emotions and intentions. Max didn't just act out of training. He acted because he knew I was in danger. His loyalty and sensitivity to my well-being drive him as much as his instincts. Counselor Aaron's tendrils rippled in contemplation, her gaze shifting thoughtfully between Cole and Max. "Then, it seems," she said, her voice softened by what almost seemed like reverence, "that this bond between your kind and theirs is more profound than we could have imagined. A loyalty so deep that this creature would risk itself for your safety." Max, as if sensing he was the subject of discussion, let out a friendly bark, tail thumping as he looked around the room. This time, The counselors did not recoil. Instead, a few of them seemed to relax, tentative smiles forming across alien faces. The initial barrier of skepticism and discomfort was slowly being replaced by a curious acceptance. Counselor Vree, the Tali representative, tilted his head, his multifaceted eyes reflecting a spectrum of colors as he studied Mac's ambassador. If all humans form such bonds with other creatures, then perhaps this empathy is a skill we have yet to master. Cole's gaze softened. For humanity, empathy isn't just a skill. It's part of what makes us who we are. Through animals like Max, we learn patience, trust, and the value of caring for another being, even if that being doesn't look or think like we do. The council chamber fell into a pensive silence, each representative digesting Cole's words, as if sensing a glimmer of a philosophy they had yet to explore in their own societies. A shared look passed through the room, a recognition that perhaps humanity's approach to life and loyalty had something to teach them all. After a moment, Counselor Erin inclined her head, a gesture of respect toward both Cole and Max. Your companion's loyalty is admirable, Ambassador. He has earned the Council's respect. Max, content with his job well done, settled back down beside Cole, curling up with a quiet sigh. Cole gave him a final, affectionate pat before straightening, acknowledging the Council with a nod. The counselors, though composed, held expressions of unmistakable intrigue, a new light of understanding kindled by Max's actions. As the proceedings resumed, the air in the room was different, charged with a quiet openness. The council had witnessed a connection beyond logic, an alliance between two species that defied conventional boundaries. And as they continued their deliberations, each representative couldn't help but wonder, if such a bond was possible between a human and a dog, what other forms of understanding might await them in the vastness of the galaxy. As the final discussions of the day came to a close, the atmosphere in the Galactic Council chamber was unlike anything Ambassador Cole had ever experienced. The normally rigid assembly of alien representatives now held an unmistakable air of warmth and curiosity, their expressions reflecting a profound shift. Max, still curled up beside Cole, had become a symbol, an unexpected ambassador in his own right. Counselor Erin, the Tevrak elder, raised a hand to signal the formal adjournment of the day's session. She paused, her tendrils lifting slightly as if she was considering her words with unusual care. Ambassador Cole, she began, her voice carrying a note of respect that was impossible to ignore. Today, we have learned much from you and from your companion. We were unprepared for the depth of this bond your people share with another species. It has broadened our understanding of what cooperation across differences can mean. Cole nodded, a sense of satisfaction warming him. Thank you, Counselor Erin. It's an honor to share this part of our culture with you all. Humanity values cooperation and loyalty, whether with our own kind or with other beings. Max is a reminder of that loyalty. A murmur of agreement spread through the council members, who exchanged glances as if silently resolving to consider these ideas within their own worlds. Counselor Crix of the Mechara, the stoic metallic being, clicked thoughtfully, his gaze fixed on Mac's ambassador. Would you be willing to share more of this cultural practice with the council? If others wish to explore such bonds, might we establish an exchange of knowledge? Cole sensed the gravity of Crix's question. The council's interest was a pivotal step. It was as if the door to a new kind of alliance was being opened. Of course, we'd be honored to share what we know about working with animals and our approach to relationships between species. Humanity's history is filled with examples of cooperation, some formal, some instinctive, but all based on mutual respect. Max, oblivious to his newfound fame, stood up and stretched, giving a small yawn before sitting attentively beside Cole. Counselor Vree, the Tali representative, watched Max with an expression that blended curiosity with something bordering on admiration. Ambassador Cole, we have records of many species interacting symbiotically, but none quite like this. It's rare to see a relationship that seems to exist simply for companionship. We could learn much from your people's perspective on such alliances. Cole took a steady breath, realizing the opportunity before him. Perhaps, if the council agrees, we could arrange for an exchange program, a cultural sharing, where representatives from Earth could bring some of our animals to live among your people. It would give you a chance to experience our traditions firsthand. Counselor D'Arcan of the Hull Car regarded Cole with a glint of interest in his crystalline eyes. An exchange, you say? This possibility intrigues me. Our species values ritual, and perhaps by learning about these human-animal bonds, we could create our own connections that strengthen our communities. Other counselors nodded in agreement, their minds clearly envisioning the possibilities. The ancient protocols of the council had never entertained the idea of an interspecies cultural exchange in this form. Yet now, thanks to a simple dog's presence, the uncharted potential of such a program seemed worth exploring. Counselor Aaron's tendrils waved in a gesture of assent, a rare sign of enthusiasm for the venerable elder. Then, it seemed settled. Ambassador Cole, we will draft a proposal for this cultural exchange. Your people's insights, and that of creatures like Max, will enrich our collective understanding. Cole smiled, his hand resting on Max's head. We'd be glad to participate. Humanity believes that, through understanding and respect, even the most unlikely connections can lead to cooperation and peace. Max wagged his tail, clearly sensing the positive shift in the room. The sight of his uncomplicated happiness brought a surprising smile to several council members, as if the room itself had softened in his presence. Counselor Crix, who had remained guarded until now, addressed Max directly, as though the dog could understand him. Creature known as Max, you have reminded us of something vital. That loyalty is not just a concept but an action, a choice. Cole couldn't help but chuckle as Max looked up at Crix, his head tilted, as if he was indeed following every word. I think Max would say it's an easy choice when it's made for someone you trust. The council chamber's energy shifted from mere diplomacy to genuine camaraderie, a rare moment of shared warmth that bridged the vast distances between their species. For the first time, Cole sensed that the council viewed humanity not just as newcomers, but as partners with insights to share. As the council adjourned and the representatives began filing out, several approached Cole to offer personal greetings to Max. The alien dignitaries, once wary of his presence, now looked at him with newfound appreciation, some even reaching out tentatively to touch his golden fur. Max accepted each interaction with calm grace, his tail wagging as if he had made friends of every being in the room. When Counselor Aaron finally stepped forward, she regarded Max with a solemn gaze before addressing Cole. Ambassador, today has reminded us that there is much we have yet to understand about trust, loyalty, and friendship. Your kind has opened our eyes to possibilities we had not imagined. Cole inclined his head in respect, feeling the depth of her words. Thank you, Counselor Aaron. We hope that, through these exchanges, we can learn from each other and grow together. Aaron's tendrils moved in a gesture of farewell. Then may this be the beginning of a new chapter. And may your friend Max remain ever loyal, as a reminder of what we have learned here today. With that, the council members left the chamber, some with thoughtful expressions, others murmuring about the possibilities of forming their own bonds with other species. As the doors closed, Cole felt a surge of optimism, knowing that today's events had planted the seeds for a deeper alliance. Max looked up at Cole, his eyes warm and trusting. Cole knelt down, patting him on the head. Good boy, Max. I think you may have just helped humanity make some new friends. Max let out a soft woof, his tail sweeping the floor in agreement, as if he understood his role in the small but significant step toward galactic harmony. Together, man and dog exited the council chamber, leaving behind a gathering of leaders whose perspectives had been forever changed. And as they walked out into the vast expanse of the galaxy, it was clear that their journey and the understanding they had sparked was just beginning.